Good morning. Morning all. Happy Friday. Hope everybody is doing well. David, Silver, hope you guys are good. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm quite looking forward to this weekend. Not only from a personal standpoint, I'm honestly looking forward to getting out the house. I haven't been out the house in ages. So going away on a little staycation would be quite happy. And also getting away from this market a little bit. Not getting away in yeah, exactly, David, exactly. So it'll be very nice. We're going to, I think I said yesterday, the world islands, the island tower on the world. So very much looking for that before it gets too hot, basically, to go out. But yeah, just from a market perspective as well, it's been a relatively quiet week. You know, even when it has been quiet previously, we've always had ideas or potential aggressives that we could look at, and here we're not really getting that at all this week. I don't know about you guys, Silver. I don't know if you're the same, but I know it's probably not great for your verification. But yeah, it's been very quiet. Been very quiet. Anyway, let's go through it. There's a few questions I had asked as well, so I'll do that. Obviously, if any of you guys want me to look at anything, I will. We'll start off with the usual. We'll start off with the SPX as well. Not good. Where are you sitting on your verification? Yeah, it's been horrible, mate. It's been horrible. You know, ever since okay, that's still okay. That's still okay, Silver. As I said, it's one trade, and you know maybe an aggressive, you know, may have to be the way to go. You know, I don't know how long. How long have you got left on your verification? Yeah, I mean we're not even getting one of them. Okay, so you still got time. Still got time. Yeah, still got time. Plenty of time. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's the same when I started for my verification when the Ukraine situation kicked off. And, you know, it's just one of those things, huh? And it may continue. This is the thing for this year, 2022. It may be a quiet year. It could be. It could be. I hope it's not. But let's see. Let's see what happens. So stock market's having a bit of a movement to the upside. We did kind of expect this. Looking for possibly C wave here. It doesn't look as if that's going to happen. So, you know, I think we continue within this corrective. Possibly today, we're seeing no signs, sorry, that this wants to fall to the downside. Possibly looking at this on a daily perspective, maybe the best way to do that. You know, even from a daily perspective, it's not telling me that this has got some real momentum here. You know, we look at previously what happened, and we had that immediate reaction. And we're not getting that right now. We're getting some days here, but, you know, nothing that's blowing me out the water. So it's still in corrective mode. My bias is still down. There's nothing, you know, and I'll talk about New Zealand Swiss in a second, you know, in terms of I don't buy this because there's really nothing positive right now. We talk about corporate earnings. We talk about, you know, stimulus, the interest rate decisions, etc. All these are pointing towards the stock market should be, you know, it has been falling. Just bear in mind we are in a pullback. In that, I can't see this rallying. And I know we've said that before from a fundamental perspective. I understand that, but then the Fed was propping the economy up in terms of, you know, stimulus, etc. But we've not got that now. We've not got that to rely on. You know, we've got China with COVID. We've got, as I said, nothing really positive. So maybe this is why we're seeing a reaction here, but not really like we have seen before. So my bias is still possibly we get that 20 catch up, but I still think this is sold into. I do still think this is sold into, but you know, I don't want to put my house on it. As I said, we've seen that rally many times, and you know, we are still in pullback mode. We're looking for a reason to short it. Still, you know, even looking this 4 hour, it just looks like a very stereotypical corrective, right? I know we've got this bar here, but for me, that's, you know, just not ready, and probably why we've got to take this from a daily perspective in terms of pullback. But I wouldn't discount this market rallying. You know, maybe some decent corporate earnings could push it up, but from a technical perspective, it's still in pullback mode. Still in pullback mode. Dollar. Yeah, I'll go through Bitcoin as well. Dollar is in pullback. We thought maybe it would come around this area. Did get a push on, getting you know, as I said, a little bit climactic up here, and at the moment we are in pullback mode. I think dollar had its best month for 10 years or something crazy like that. Dollar had its strongest month in a long time, which again absolutely makes sense to me. So things like this can't happen, go on forever. We are a little bit extended here. And morning, Leon. Morning, mate. And I think possibly we get into some sort of pullback mode. But my bias, again, unless something significantly changes with anything fundamentally, and again, I don't really like to go too much into the fundamental side, but it's important to speak about from time and time again. Dollar still remains strong for me on a potential pullback. So if you're looking from a daily perspective, we might get this like the SPX where we come back a little bit, in which case looking at opportunities to buy the dollar on a pullback would absolutely make sense to me. So dollar, possible pullback continuing. I think the chart is telling us this depending on how that 4-hour closes. But yeah, maybe just a harder reset of this very healthy trend to the upside. Sometimes our harder resets, remember, come in the form of our complex corrective. We could see something like that. But yeah, looking to buy the dollar still makes absolute sense to me. Okay, the one on the watch list, or there's two on the watch list, New Zealand Swiss is still in. You know, for me, it's depending on how this 4-hour closes, right? As I said, I don't really buy this. You know, the market's never wrong, but we're obviously getting some strength in the Kiwi on account of that pullback in the stock market. When things wants to fall, they do fall quick. This trade is in now, and whatever happens with it is going to happen. I just wouldn't be surprised if we do kind of what we did before and kind of come down quite quickly. But I also wouldn't be surprised in something like this, you know, a kind of push on, a snap back, and a fall. So whatever's going to happen with New Zealand Swiss is going to happen. It's fine. It's in now. We still got quite a ways until that stop is taken out. We do have I'm about to say we do have that 200, but it's closed above now. So intraday perspective, this actually looks pretty good for moving to the upside. And it just shows you, even though it's a bit risk-off nature and pullback, there's that lack of follow-through, you know, in terms of breaking of key areas where we come up, we come back down. It looks pretty good. Then we come back up. You know, we reject and we come here. So that kind of lack of follow-through is continuing right now. And I still like it to the downside. You know, we have that daily 200 in the way. From a daily perspective, it's not worrying me at the moment, you know, but it could be potentially this continuation. So we have to be aware. It still is a counter trend idea. And as I said, whatever will be, will be. I just don't buy the idea of buying the Kiwi, certainly against a risk-off currency like the Swiss. You know, we've seen the yen weakening off as well. That disconnect in the markets is usually coming when we get that uncertainty, and we're certainly seeing that right now. But you know, Japan was closed today on a holiday. It'll be interesting to see what London does when it opens. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this came back down. But it's in. The risk is there. Whatever happens will happen. It's just one trade. But I would like to, you know, certainly would like to go on a little run. But I've just got to be patient. Just got to be patient. And what will be, will be. You know, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Not that I think I'm on a bad run, by the way. I'm not on a bad run. It's just getting those trades that are nice trades, that feel like really nice trades are tough to come by right now. But we just keep our head over water, and we keep going, we keep being consistent, we keep doing the same things, and it will certainly come. Certainly come. Okay, oil. Oil is another one that I don't think is going to potentially set up here. I'm still looking for it until we break above these highs. If it does break above, then I'll potentially take it out because I think it's too far gone for our complex corrective, potential aggressive entry to short. So there is a case for oil long now, but let's wait and see whether we potentially get up to these highs and break these highs before I take this off the watch list from a kind of larger V reversal. So maybe something like this, then we could go long. Again, fundamentally, does it make sense? That's a personal opinion, but from a technical perspective, yeah, a break up there would be decent for long. So it's a market where sometimes, and you know, sometimes this will happen to everybody, where you just have to sit back and say, I don't really know what's going on here. I'm not really comfortable with it. and taking a little step back and saying, I'm happy to let this play out until I do feel a bit more comfortable with it. And it just might take some time. Morning, John. Morning, Dill. Okay, so that's it. So for New Zealand Swiss, sorry, which I think is potentially gone, what I'd be looking for is a real reason to enter on this 4-hour chart, i.e. our breakout retest. Because obviously we're coming from here, ABC, push on, right? This is good. Context is still great. But if we get a 4-hour reason to enter for a short and we get some bearish momentum over London today, or potentially over US today, this will be a good short for me. You know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars there, which is just enough. Ideally, it potentially turns into an evening star on increasing volume as we go on. But that's the main one I'll be looking at as New Zealand continue with that New Zealand Swiss short bias on account of it looking still like an SPX pullback before continuation to the downside. So that's what I'll be looking at today. I had two questions, I think, if I bring them down. First one was Leon. Oh, so Leon, I'll go through USD NOK. So I don't know if you're massively familiar, Leon, with my aggressive entry strategy. Right? It's basically a pre-breakout strategy where we're looking for reasons to enter prior to a break. So it's the same premise, cup with handles, head and shoulders, etc. But we're essentially trying to get in. So for example, with a cup with handle, we're essentially trying to get in down here or potentially get in down here prior to a break. Because I am selective with my breakouts, the idea is we're getting involved in trades we like, i.e. USD NOK, where ones that we're not taking a breakout, but we're still getting involved in decent breaks. Okay, so that's essentially the premise. The reason why I call it aggressive is because we're selling or buying the candle. So the risk reward is quite good. So we've got a bullish engulfer, and I'll go through New Zealand CAD as well because that's still a monster. The idea is we're a bit aggressive with it. We have one trade, we use the SAR, and we try to get as much out of it as possible. So with USD NOK, I was looking at this long from down here. It didn't quite set up, okay? Didn't quite set up here. But we created a new level at this section, right? Above our recent highs. So what we did here, and what I was looking at, was our very simple cup with handle, as you can see here. Right, cup with handle. We had our ABC. So at this point in time, right, if we take this away here, we can't see what happened in the future. Actually, let me do this. I'll take all these candles away. You can't see all this. Right, this was the chart that I was looking at. Right, so we got our cup pattern here, highs tagged again, and we came into our ABC corrective. Okay. And what we had at C-Wave, we had volume coming in, which is what we like to see. That's what we need on our catalyst. And we had this bullish engulfer, right? And not only we had the bullish engulfer, we had the bullish engulfer that closed above the 200, closed above the 20, coming from a kind of upward trending environment, right? Not only that, if we look to our higher time frame confluence, i.e. our daily chart, this was roughly where it was at. So I think it was somewhere, where was it? Probably somewhere here, okay? So we were coming from this move to the downside. But from a trend continuation point of view, if we notice the pullback in the kind of specific candles we've got in the pullback, okay? Notice what the dominant candle is here, okay? So if we've got, zoom out one more so it's a bit easier, there we go. So we've got this bar here, right? Obviously a big bullish sign. We've got this bar here, this dark cloud cover, bullish sign. Not only that, we've got this candle, this inverted hammer. So if we do the same thing where we remove all these candles and we can't see, from a trend continuation point of view, right, you're expecting this at this point in time, because this is a catalyst coming on increasing volume from this movement to the downside, you expect this trend to continue, right? But that's not what we got, right? So we got this and we got the market pushing up. So combining these dominant candles, the fact that it doesn't look like a great pullback with the fact that we haven't gone from a potential catalyst here, we're now back above these moving averages. The 20 period is starting to curl over. Looked better to me for a movement to the upside. Okay, so combining a higher time frame confluence there with our outside bullish engulfing candle, for me, was enough to take this aggressive. And as I said yesterday, we just got clipped out. So the stop would have been roughly there. You're just clipped out on this particular bar. So what I thought was an ABC basically turned into a DE, right? That's kind of how I say it, a DE, and then it moved. And there was no reason for me to enter down here. There's no catalyst there. So this was a one that was very close to being a great trade. We had the right idea, the right premise, but sometimes this happens in trading, right? Where you just get clipped out. You know, normally with the ABC, in terms of stop hunts, right, you're expecting that to already have happened because you're expecting retail to be long here with their stops underneath A wave, okay? So here, right, you're expecting retail to be short on account of thinking this is a higher low in terms of Dow theory for continuation or for a change of trend, sorry. And then we do this. And sometimes you get another leg which stops us out, which doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. As always, nothing is 100% before moving to the upside. So, as I said yesterday, with NZD CAD running at roughly about 10%, and you know, if we hadn't, if buts or maybe is not a thing to look at, but this is the premise of what the aggressive is. You know, for there, let's say this didn't happen, right? Let's say we are in this right now. You know, your risk reward with our SAR. So if we insert our SAR, which is what I use for taking profits, right? We're still in this trade. Well, actually, you're literally just out of this trade on this particular bar, right? So we've got a risk reward where if we're risking 2%, we've got 2, for example, 4, 6, 8, 10, you know, roughly maybe around 12% on that particular trade. That makes sense? But we just got nipped out. Just got nipped out. Yeah? So if we go into NZD CAD, yeah, so just with the Trading Academy side, I've decided I'm redoing the whole Trading Academy, and I'll redo my whole. Once this is implemented, then I'll do an additional thing on the aggressive entry, but I can't do that right now because it's not implemented. But I am going to beef up that Trading Academy in time for when we relaunch or revamp. So if I go through NZD CAD as well, and I will get to the questions before. Or David, your question. So like the same thing, you know, as we talked about, we've got our V reversal here, and we've got our ABC, right? This was our catalyst for going short. And what happened then was a little bit of fundamental news on this helped us out, but again, we're only caring about data and statistics here. We've got this, which was roughly about 72 pips, and we are up on this about, it must be about 350, I think. Yeah, about 360 pips. So that's, at the moment, it's a 5R, which for me is a 10% trade. I mean, there's an FTMO challenge right there. So this is the premise, right? This is what we're looking for. This is what we're trying to get. We're not always going to get it, but it's something I'm, dare I say it, better than the current strategy I have. I don't even know yet, but I'm very excited about it. Very excited about it. Okay, so David, you asked me about New Zealand yen. So I'll go into New Zealand yen. And from a risk sentiment perspective, and from a kind of general perspective, the idea of selling the Kiwi yen right now makes sense. But charts aren't really telling me that. Same with New Zealand Swiss. The charts aren't saying that we should sell the New Zealand yen just yet. You know, we had a move up here, which was slightly sold into, but it's rallied again. It still does look like a corrective, right? The level here is not really clear for a, you know, potential head and shoulders to the upside. But the daily chart is a mess. The daily chart is just a mess. That for me is untradeable, right? Because there's nothing I can take away from that particular chart. Okay, yes, from down here you can kind of take something away from this push. Yep, okay, I get it. Potential loss of momentum, push through, fake down. But at this point in time, this chart is a mess. I cannot, you know, you can't predict something that looks like that, in my personal opinion. You know, when you're getting things like this and this, you can. But when you're getting price action that makes no sense, then it is tough. So if we're talking about recent price action here, very similar to the SPX, where it's, you know, it's potentially still in pullback for continuation. And you know, even if I had a setup here buying the Kiwi yen, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it because the chart doesn't make any sense to me. So, you know, I'd rather look at potential shorts from recent price action, because, again, from a risk-off standpoint, it would make sense to me. But sometimes the market is irrational. And, the market can stay irrational longer than we can stay solvent, or certainly some people can stay solvent. And, it's just tough to think. So my bias would be that, potentially today the yen and the Swiss should, and maybe not the dollar because it's been strong, but come into a lot of strength. That's what really should happen. But again, I would not be surprised if it doesn't. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. So yeah, that's my take on New Zealand yen. David, it's just a little bit of a mess. A little bit of a mess. I was hoping here, if this had come down from I kind of lost momentum for a harder reset, then yes, I would like it. And that's what I was kind of hoping for and waiting for, but we've not got that now. So in terms of looking at these yen pairs, what do we want to see? Do we want to see a harder reset now? I mean, potentially it would look a little bit better because ultimately stock market goes up, right? But we may see some bearish price action for, however long it will be. But yeah, a lot of I'm just staying clear of the yen. I'm just staying clear of it. I mean, we look at New Zealand yen, Aussie yen is the same kind of thing. It's just a currency pair I'm going to stay away from right now because I just don't like it. And I don't want to throw 2% away on an impulse trying to take a trade. So yeah. Anyway, that's my. It sounds a very dreary opinion, isn't it, of the markets right now? But sometimes it's true that it's best to stay away a little bit when you're not resonating with the market, and it will pass. It will pass. Let me know if you guys are the same. Do you feel the same way? Is your personal strategy working well right now? Dill, Leon, John. But for me, like always, I don't try and force it. I just normally say, okay. If I wait and have a 12% month next month, then it's all happy and sunshiny days. Things can change very quickly. Things can change very quickly in trading. We saw that in January. Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. My pairs pulled back over the Asian session and now beginning to move in my favor at this moment. You're happy? Good, Leon. I'm happy as well. That's the main thing also. We've got to enjoy what we do, right? This is sometimes get lost on us. We have to enjoy what we do. I still love scanning the market even though I'm like, oh, God. Here's another day where I can't take a trade or New Zealand Swiss is not going in my favor. But, we have to enjoy it because if you don't enjoy it, then, Oh, Bitcoin. I was going to do Bitcoin. Let's look at crypto a little bit. Yeah, it looks to be a little bit flirty with this area, right? Needs a little bit more in here, but it could be potentially something for a breakdown to 30K. So yeah, let's put the 30K bias back on the table. Again, same as the stock market. It's not telling me this wants to rise just yet. If we go 4 hour. Seems to be losing momentum now, right? Seems to be potentially losing momentum. Are we getting this? And the good thing about head and shoulders within, is the fact that it's going with that trending environment. I just maybe think it needs a little bit more on the daily chart, but with Bitcoin, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. This was nice, though. I mean, this particular bar was pretty nice. So yeah, I mean, I agree, Silver. I agree. I think 30K is potentially back on the cards. Potentially. Right, guys. Anything else you want me to look at before I head off? I'm doing a video today. I am trying to finish my video on my YouTube, and then that'll be me for the afternoon. Nothing else? All right, guys, I appreciate you joining as always, and hopefully next week will be better. Taking some trades would be nice. Have a great weekend all, and trade safe. I'll see you next weekend. Peace.